record, the number of times that a person can get struck by lightning and survive is 7. Did you all know that? What an emotional journey, let me tell you. The first time you get struck, you're like, surprised. The second time, you're like, what are the odds? The third or fourth time, you're like, this is who I am. By the fifth or sixth time, you're like, I forgot. You're like, why am I so bad at outside? By the seventh time, you realize, I think I have a superpower, I just don't know how to use it. Credits to comedian Harrison Greenbaum for those words. So the first time lightning struck was in June of 2013. I had just graduated from my master's degree in spiritual care and psychotherapy, and I, like some of the others of you, were on top of the world, living the dream, feeling like I had finally arrived. After all, I was an expert in mental health, or so my degree told me so. But let me tell you, my real education in mental health came 1 month later when my 15-year-old daughter was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. For those of you who don't know what bipolar disorder is, it's a mood disorder that is characterized by extreme highs and lows. At its peak, it can create a state of overdrive, productivity, and exuberance, called the manic phase, and can lead into a state of psychosis. While its counterpart, a person can experience severe depression, feelings of hopelessness, and often accompanied by suicidal thoughts or actions. So José's diagnosis was brought on by a manic episode. She was doing more and more in less and less time and on less and less sleep. Now, while you may think, well, what's wrong with that? Sounds like a good, happy place to be. The higher your high, the lower your low. So thankfully, with proper care and treatment, José was admitted to the Child and Adolescent Inpatient Program at the Grand River Hospital in Kitchener. For those of you who don't know, it's a psych ward for children. And thankfully, the medication and the treatment was able to help her symptoms subside and bring her back to a place of stability. The second time lightning struck was 4 years later, when her brother, my youngest son, named Luke, was also diagnosed with the same at age 15. I woke up one night to a blood-curdling scream where Luke announced to me that he had, in fact, been struck by lightning. He yanked me out of bed and pulled me onto the porch in my pajamas and proceeded to describe to me what he thought he saw, felt, and experienced. He demanded that I take him to the hospital for treatment, which I couldn't deny him. I just didn't tell what I would be taking him there for. He got in the car, and 3 hospitals, and 63 days later, he was discharged. His bipolar disorder was much more difficult to treat, and he ended up in a longer care term facility called Parkwood in London. These were dark and difficult days for our family, for what happened to each of our kids in some way happened to each one of our family members. At that time, I got my real education in mental health, the behind-the-scenes, not asked for, not wanted tour of the mental health system, as well as navigating how to support and be with someone who struggles with bipolar. So our family, as a result, have learned a great deal about how to have compassion for oneself and for one another. For me, in my work, I feel that it's helped give me a worldview and a take on humanity where I'm able to look at people with a more compassionate curiosity, always thinking that there's a reason why people are the way they are. And we would do well as a society if we could all lean into people's pain and brokenness instead of instinctually wanting to run away. In the wake of every crisis comes a critical moment where things either get worse or get better. During these times, it is important to take shelter. Shelter comes in many forms. For me, it came in the form of family, friends who become family, as well as doing the hard emotional work of processing the pain, shock, and grief. Immediate family has kept us grounded while everything else seemed to be falling apart. Whether it was listening to a familiar voice on the other end of the line or having a physical presence, words didn't matter. The fact that they were there did. Additionally, friends who have become family, who I'd like to cordially refer to as my tribe, ladies, you know who you are, have literally jumped in the trenches with us and helped dig our way out. Love, laughter, and tears have been all integral ingredients in, not to mention the many practical acts of kindness that were bestowed on us. Friends, family, and my church broke the stigma of mental illness being the no casserole crisis, if you know what I mean. We were blessed with hot meals, gift cards, and encouragement. I can assure you that every act makes a difference and that anything is better than silence. Ambiguous loss, mixed emotions, and confusion have been constant companions. Mental illness is not a linear path. I've had to digest the reality of our lives, that for better or worse, things have changed. Although I have not lost children to death, I have lost children to the life that I envisioned for them. Life is full of mountains and valleys, and I am learning to live life on the edge and take in the panoramic view instead of the still shots, so that I could press through the pain and focus on the successes of my children now. José, my eldest, is currently completing her first year in professional and creative writing at Algonquin College in Ottawa. And my son Luke is finishing his 12th year in high school and is moving on to working with his hands as a general machinist starting in the fall. And not to forget the middle child, the middle child, who has been so well trained in her pursuit of social work for her future. In all of this, I've had to acknowledge that no one is immune from pain, not even counselors. I've discovered my superpower, which is humility. I am learning that it is okay not to be okay, and that charity starts at home. I need to care for myself in order to care for the needs of others, because you cannot give what you do not have. It is possible to smile through the storms of life. I'm learning that it's okay to cry and laugh simultaneously. Things change, things get better. We can adapt, we can do things differently. And mental illness does not need to have the last say. We need to fight back and work hard every day. Accept help in its many forms and forge ahead. For our willingness to discuss mental illness is what helps other people to share their story so that nobody has to stand alone. It is important to hold on to the hope that things change and get better. Oh, look, the rain clouds are moving out and sunnier days lie ahead.